Haley Reese, and for those of you looking to get into the spooky Halloween season, today's video is sure to not disappoint. I woke up today, you guys, and I am catching the dreaded cold that has been passed around throughout my entire family. So I really want to apologize if I sound like congested or nasaled or sick. It's because I am. But that is not going to stop us on these 31 days of Halloween, and that is not going to postpone today's crazy story. Before I get into today's video though, I would just very briefly and quickly like to say, if you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Haley and I am posting every day for the month of October, although we are in like our last week now and that really sucks. But if you do enjoy my videos and you want to continue to watch them, please go ahead, click that subscribe button and join the Reese's Pieces. So not too long ago, I came on here and I shared a subscriber's story with you guys. I kind of like took what she had sent in the email and I told you guys exactly what had happened to one of our fellow Reese's Pieces. Ever since that video, I have been flooded with emails, with tweets, with Instagram messages and DMs, and just like overall flooded with your guys' stories and experiences. I genuinely try my absolute hardest to reply to as many of you as I can and to try to help you guys when you're in any sort of paranormal situation. But every once in a while, I come across a story that I feel like, as much as I can give my advice, it's something that I really want to share with you guys. I received an email from one of our fellow Reese's Pieces basically pleading for help. And upon talking with her and trying to help her in any way I could, I asked if I could come on here, share her story, and hopefully you guys have some points of view or some things to say too. So if you guys want to hear about a doll that one of our Reese's Pieces feels may be trying to harm her, all you gotta do is just keep on watching today's video. Now, a very quick 2-second disclaimer I just want to throw in here is that make sure to watch this video to the end, because the conclusion of the email that she initially sent me and where she is currently at with this doll is probably the most chilling of the whole entire story. So if you really want to get that Halloween spook, or you really want to hear about what someone is experiencing with a freaky doll, make sure to watch today's video to the end. It's currently raining, you guys. It just started to pour rain, so over here I am like all spooky. But all right, let's get into this. Sit back, relax, maybe turn a light on, and where do I begin? So I received an email that was titled, "Haley, please read, my doll is trying to kill me." And I was like, what the heck? So I clicked the email automatically. So the email was sent by a girl named Natalia, and she actually lives in Texas. Natalia is 16 years old and has a very creepy story to share. She began the email by telling me that back in January, her grandma gave her a porcelain doll by the name of Mandy for her birthday. Now, she made sure to mention that her grandma has given her porcelain dolls every single year for her birthday since she was born. Now, Natalia is actually from Mexico and her grandma still actually lives in Mexico, but every single year she would either mail her, or if she came out to Texas to visit her, she would give her a porcelain doll from Mexico. So it was absolutely no surprise when Natalia received this porcelain doll for her birthday back in January. Now, she said that her family has like a living room area where she tends to keep a lot of her porcelain dolls, because since she's a teenager, she kind of feels like having a room full of porcelain dolls isn't necessarily the best friendship maker when you're having sleepovers or things like that. So a lot of her porcelain dolls were actually kept down in this family living room. But this year, this past January, her grandma hadn't just mailed the porcelain doll. Her grandma actually had came to visit her and she had brought her the porcelain doll from Mexico. So Natalia, given the fact that her grandma was actually in like the room next door, decided to keep the doll in her room temporarily for the time being, you know, as a thank you to her grandma for the gift and to really show her appreciation. So she said that for the first night, she kept the porcelain doll up on the dresser in her room, which was like to the right of where she slept. She said she remembered putting the porcelain doll facing the opposite side of the room. So like I said, her bed was here, her dresser was here, and she remembered facing it across her like so. Now, Natalia said that in the morning when she woke up, the porcelain doll had shifted its body and was staring straight at her sleeping in her bed. So this obviously had alarmed her, but she said at this point in time, she wasn't feeling threatened by the doll. She just thought that it was a little bit strange. She also has a couple of siblings, so she thought maybe they came in, had touched it, whatever else. She was thinking like a rational human being. Not everybody's like me and jumps to paranormal and everything. So she was just like, okay, that's strange, odd, whatever. A few nights go on, and every single time that she wakes up, she notices that the doll is in a new position. So this kind of threw her for a loop. She's still thinking like this is strange, but she's not thinking that the doll is necessarily possessed. So about a week and a bit later, her grandma goes back to Mexico, everything goes back to normal in the house, and Natalia moves the doll from within her room down into that family like recreational room to be amongst all of the other porcelain dolls and antiques her family has in there. She said a few nights go on, weeks go on, nothing strange is really happening until one night she awakes to what sounds like a scratching noise in her room. She said that the best way that she could describe it would be as though you were touching a wood door and running your nail up and down it, up and down it. So she woke up, she heard this noise, and as soon as she sat up to look around the room, the noise completely stopped. She's like, that's really strange. So she went back to sleep. About a few hours later, she said it was around 3 a.m. Aren't all of our crazy stories around 3 a.m.? I'm starting to notice like a link here. She said it was around 3 a.m. and she hears like a click, click, click tapping. She said it sounds almost like not a nail tapping on glass, but like glass tapping on wood. So she sits back up again, she looks around, she notices that there's nothing, the sound completely stopped yet again once she sat up. And the only reason she recognized that it was 3 a.m., which she made sure to mention in the email, was because at this point she'd been woken up twice and she's like, what the heck? So she started to like play on her phone. In the morning, Natalia awakes to the doll on the pillow next to her. So she freaks out. She's asking everybody in the house, did you guys put the doll from downstairs up here? Did you guys take the doll from downstairs up here? Everyone's looking at her like, Natalia, why would we take a porcelain doll from downstairs in that room and bring it into your room? I believe the exact line she says in the email at this point was, everybody thought I was actually crazy, and I thought I was actually crazy too. So she takes the doll, she rushes it downstairs, and she puts it back into that room, and she's like looking around and she's completely in shock, fear, everything at how this doll got upstairs. Now she says for the next few months, up until August of this year, every once in a while she would hear those noises in the night, would wake up, nothing would be there, the sound would stop, and she would wake up in the morning with the doll in bed with her. Could you imagine waking up to a porcelain doll just sitting on your pillow next to you? Like, I really sympathize with her for that, because if this is a true story, which she sounds completely distraught in the email, you guys, so I genuinely believe her, that is traumatizing. So anyways, she says that around August is when things started to take a turn downhill. She said it was about mid-August and the same thing happens, except when she wakes up, it's 3 a.m., the porcelain doll is next to her, and its face has completely changed from a straight porcelain doll face to a evil, malicious, and sinister face. So she starts screaming. First and foremost, porcelain dolls are glass. They are painted on glass faces. They cannot change. Their expressions are not supposed to change. And if a porcelain doll's expression is changing, run for the hills. So she's screaming, and her parents come running into her room, and she's saying like, look at the doll's face, look at the doll's face, look at the doll's face. Her parents are rubbing their eyes. They're like, what the heck? They look at the doll and it looks completely normal. And so she looks back at her doll, and her porcelain doll is exactly the way it was when it was gifted to her. It doesn't have that face anymore, doesn't have any look on its face. But her parents ask her, why do you have the doll up in your room? And she tells them that she thinks the doll is alive. Now at this point, her parents are looking at her with concern because this is their teenage daughter telling them that the doll is changing its face, that it's coming up the stairs, and that it's completely alive. So she tells her parents that she doesn't want the doll anymore. But her parents said that it would not be nice to get rid of one in the sequence of all of the birthday dolls from her grandma because it was a gift to her and that her grandma had hand chose it in Mexico, brought it all the way over here for her, that it was not nice to get rid of it. So they told her, fine, they will keep the doll in their room. So a few weeks go by, absolutely nothing happens. Natalia says that she started to think that she was crazy, you guys. She's like, I don't understand. Now we are in end of September, so this is recent. Natalia is sleeping one night and awakens to that sound of glass tapping on wood. She sits up, the sound disappears. She goes to lay back down and she says that the porcelain doll is next to her again with that sinister looking face. So Natalia starts to think that she's going crazy. So she takes the doll, she shoves it under the bed, and she decides, I'm not even gonna let it get to me. Maybe I've gone crazy. I'm gonna put the doll under the bed and I'm not gonna think about it. I'm gonna go back to sleep. Which, props to you, girl, because I can go to sleep with some crazy things, but I don't know if I could go to sleep with that. All of a sudden, Natalia finds herself in a dream. And in this dream, she hears the giggle of what she described as a witch's laugh. She said it's exactly like what you would picture a witch to laugh like in a movie. And in the dream, she's laying in her bed. All of a sudden, she hears that tapping of glass again. But this time, it's crawling from the side of her bed. She said that all of a sudden, the doll comes up the side of the bed with that sinister look on its face. She said its lips weren't moving, but it was making the witches laugh. And it climbed on top of her and started to choke her. She said that she woke up from this dream with real pain around her neck, but when she looked under the bed, the doll had not moved. Now at this point in the email, Natalia begins to explain to me how in Mexico there are a ton of witches. And she says that witchcraft is kind of a big thing out in Mexico and that she wonders if the porcelain doll that her grandmother has purchased for her is a product of witchcraft and that it may actually be possessed. Here's where the story gets really creepy, you guys. And this is where I said you had to listen till the end. Natalia said that a week and a half ago, she decided she was going to get rid of the doll. She told her parents that was it. And she said she was going to give the doll to one of her cousins. That way it was still in the family. I kind of laughed when I read this part because I was like, oh, her poor cousin. That night, she awakens to the same sound. The doll's laying in her bed with that sinister look on her face. And all of a sudden, the doll says to her, if you get rid of me, I'll kill you. And Natalia started screaming for her parents. They came running in and they looked at her like she was insane because the doll's face was completely the same as it was when it was purchased. So at the end of this email, Natalia basically begs me for help. She's like, I don't know what to do about this doll. I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with it. I'm terrified. I'm scared to sleep. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. She's like, I'm starting to think I'm crazy. She's like, Haley, you are the only person that I could think of that could help me. This has to be one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Not in the sense of her being crazy, but in the sense of like, if this is a true story, that's traumatizing, and that sounds like something out of like a Chucky movie, and it really terrifies me for her if this is really happening. Like I always say with stories like this, you guys, it is not my own. It has been sent in to me. It seems genuine by the way that she is like so afraid, and I feel for her, but we have to take it for what it is. Somebody could be messing with us. Somebody could be making this up. But like I always say, I don't believe that my Reese's Pieces would lie to me, but this just sounds unbelievable. What on earth do you guys think is going on? Do you think Natalia is telling the truth? Do you think it has to do with some sort of witchcraft put on this porcelain doll? What do you guys think she should do with it? I told her I was going to come on here. I told her that I was going to ask you guys if any of you guys have any idea of what could be going on here. And I don't know what to make of it. I mean, it sounds unbelievable. But hey, like half of my stories sound unbelievable too, so who am I to judge? I am going to be reading through all of your guys' comments on what you think of today's story, whether or not you think it's real, whether or not you think that there's something she can do, or something of that sort, because this has been on my mind since I received the email, and if it is a true story, I'm afraid for her. So definitely talk it out amongst each other, but please be kind in doing so. And on that note, if you guys enjoyed today's video, but you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead, click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos. I really don't want you to miss when I upload. And please give this video a big thumbs up. It makes my heart super happy when you guys do that. So please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.